Welcome back, this is Samuel Morton. In our previous video I gave some insight into technical analysis and gave some details about uptrends and how price behaves when it is uptrending. In this video I want to spend some time looking at price when it moves downwards and to the side. So I'll bring up my pen. So just like when price is moving up in an uptrend, we don't have this huge straight line or movement like so. We have this step in motion in the market. Now when price moves in a downwards direction, we have exactly the same thing, and we have a step in motion but going down. So this is the historic data we looked at in our last video, May and June, when price was on an uptrend. We're now going to look at the rest of June and July, when price was on a downtrend. So once again we have this step in motion in the market. So this is where we finished our last video, around this area, mid-June. We're now going to do mid-June to the beginning of July, and you'll see that price started up here, closed down here. So overall price was moving down, and we have this stepping or wave in motion in the market. We have a push down, price pulls back, we have a push down, price pulls back, 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 and then a final push down. And there's our downtrend. So the terminology is the same for a downtrend as an uptrend. We have pushes and pullbacks, but obviously they're reverse. So a push on a downtrend is a push down, and the pullback is when price moves slightly on the upside. We have another push, price pulls back, push, price pulls back. We have a major push, price pulls back, push, price pulls back, and a push. So with our uptrend, same terminology. We had our push, our pullback, our push, our pullback, a push, and a pullback. The characteristics are also very similar on a downtrend as an uptrend. We are looking for highs and lows of a trend, but once again they're reverse. So our highs are the end of a pullback and the start of a push. So here, 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 and here. And just to mark that on the graph, we have a push, pullback, we then push again. So where this pullback ends and the push starts is our high. Price pushes, price pulls back, then goes for a push. So the end of this pullback and start of the push is our next high, next one here and here. And then our lows are the end of a push and the start of a pullback. So here, 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 and here. So if we were to mark our highs and lows, high, 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 low, 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 and low. Now the major characteristic of a downtrend is lower highs and lower lows. If you remember in our previous video, the major characteristic was higher highs and higher lows. So each time we had a high in the market, it was higher. and every time we had a low in the market, it was higher. With a downtrend, once again, exactly the same thing, just in reverse. Each time we have a high, we want it to be lower. Each time we have a low, we want it to be lower. So with this downtrend, let's look at the highs first of all. We have a high here. Our second high is lower than the first. Our third high is lower than the second. Our fourth high is lower than the third. Our fifth high is lower than the fourth. And our sixth high is lower than the fifth. And then our lows. Here's our first low. Our second low is lower than the first. Our third low is lower than the second. Our fourth low is lower than the third. Our fifth low is lower than the fourth, and so on. So that's how price behaves when price is moving in an upwards direction or a downwards direction. We have what we call trends, which have certain characteristics. Price behaves in certain ways, where we have a step in motion and highs and lows of this step in motion. Now you may wonder why you need to know this, but as these videos go on, you'll learn the advantage of knowing this and how you can profit from it. So now let's look at when price moves in a sideways direction. When price moves in a sideways direction, we do not call it a trend. There's another term we use for sideways movement in the market, and that is a range. So we have trends and ranges. Similar to when price moves up or down, we don't get a straight line. Same with ranges, we generally don't get a straight line like this, but the behavior instead would look something like this. So very short up and down movements, but overall moving in a sideways direction. Once again, this is the same graph as in our last video, the pound against the dollar. If I zoom out slightly, this range may be more visible. So there we have it. As mentioned, when price ranges, we have this sort of action, and price is moving overall in a sideways direction. And there we have our range. Characteristics of a range are two areas within the market which price is stuck between. So if we look at this range, when price does move on the upside, it generally gets to around this area before going back down, and on the downside, price generally gets to this area before going back up. And I like to call this a tennis effect, where price is simply getting hit from one side of the chart to the other, just like tennis, the ball being hit from one side of the court to the other. And we will cover more on ranges as these videos go on. Thank you again for watching, and please watch our next video.